Good morning, Sasha, Braden, anyone else who happens to be listening. I want to share a little bit today just about sort of what really impacted me over the weekend on the sermon that Abraham George gave at the table. A little bit different, as Caleb kind of pointed out, didn't necessarily sort of follow the outline, kind of the 3 points and all that I think we're very used to hearing and seeing, and I know I personally really enjoy. But it was I felt like, and there was a lot there on the parable of the Good Samaritan, and I thought for me, probably the most impactful thing that he said was really what he gave to be a sort of a modern day equivalent of crossing over to the other side of the street, right? I think that we all think that we're overall compassionate. If we saw someone who needed help, we wouldn't. And, I don't want to spoil it, but he gave an example of when he was a pastor of a very large church. He talked about he knew all the right people that he was supposed to shake hands with, and someone came up to him, and I don't want to ruin the ending, but you should go back and listen to that because I think he said it's been something like 30 years later, and he remembers this incident. So it's clearly something that really stuck in his mind. And so, I would just say that if you have instances in your life where you felt like God was really calling me to do something and I just didn't do it, first of all, um, absolutely that can happen to anyone. I would say pray, ask for God's forgiveness, and know that you have it, and know that you have that forgiveness. You don't have to walk for 30 years sort of with this memory or however long of knowing that, hey, I kind of failed. I didn't live up to what I think I am as a Christian or what I should be. You don't have to live with that failure forever. God's not condemning you. Again, ask for forgiveness and then kind of move on from that. But there are instances, and I would challenge you to think, where are there times when I've turned away because it was uncomfortable or because I wasn't feeling it or I just wasn't in the mood to help someone. And I think that we can all probably find areas or times in our lives when we have turned, kind of gone to the other side of the road, just as the priest and the Levite did when they saw the Samaritan, or they saw the person who had been half beaten to death, whereas the Samaritan, someone who really was, kind of looked down on society, showed the compassion that the priest and the Levite really knew and should have shown. So anyway, I thought that was probably the most compelling part of it. It was definitely the story that stuck with me. If you haven't seen it, absolutely, I'll put a link to that particular message in the comments below so that you guys can find it easily. But you really need to go and watch the whole sermon because I felt like um, Abraham did a great job. All right, have a great day.